From our studios in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, it's the Longwood Rotary Club on Thursday, April 9th, 2020, normally meeting at the beautiful, world-famous Longwood Botanical Gardens. Guests today are Garrett, Doherty, Kohl, Margaret Egli, and special guest Carrie Freeman, Executive Director of the United Way of Southern Chester County, along with Kris Sipple from Oxford Community Services, Leah Reynolds from Kennett Area Community Service, and Mariana Izraelson from La Comunidad Hispana. Please welcome our host for today's meeting, Longwood Rotary Club President, Curran.
Good morning, Longwood Rotarians, and welcome to the Longwood Rotary meeting, home edition for April 9, 2020. And now I'll turn it over to the thought of the day, Garrett.
Well, I have three things for you today, Rotarians. Having a lack of information, that may be bad, but having the wrong information, that's deadly. Because even if you're on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. Because then there's the guy that makes things happen, then there's the guy that watches things happen, and then there's the guy that says, hey, what just happened? Which one are you?
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrows, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'll ride up the road, I'll share your load. If you just call me, come on everybody, call me. If you need a friend, call me. Oh, baby, just if you need a friend, all you got to do is, call me. All you got to do is, all you got to do is, call me. Come on now, call me. One more time now, call me. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Garrett, for that thought of the day. Thanks, Steve Malley, for some pictures. And of course, thanks to our production director, Dave Harridan. Hey, and now we're going to have a Rotary moment.
Possibilities are all around us. Everywhere we look, we see opportunity. We see potential in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action. In communities all around the world, the that we call home. Like transforming an old bus to feed hungry children, or providing life-saving equipment to those who need it most. From fighting disease to rebuilding schools, together we can make real change happen. We are Rotary. We are people of action.
Hoping everyone continues to remain safe. Again, if you need anything, let us know. Do not go out for that gallon of milk or that loaf of bread. Stay home. We've got volunteers that'll do that for you. So please call us. Now, there's lots going on regarding support efforts, and in typical Kennett Square fashion, many groups are pitching in, forming alliances that did not exist before, and the needs are being met. But in the short term, this is not a short-term event. This is a marathon and not a sprint. And the resources are going to be needed to be spread out over many months. Fortunately, that is how the community is coordinating the relief efforts. Your club is involved with these efforts and planning. We mentioned some of it in the newsletter, and today's speaker, Carrie Freeman, will take you through the details. But right now, I'd like to introduce our member spotlight for the week, Margaret Egli.
Good morning, everyone. As you know, I'm Margaret Egli. I was born in Washington, D.C. My parents met during World War II at a USO dance. My father was an Army Air Force bomber pilot stationed in Italy, and my mother was a college student. So after the war, my parents moved to Washington, D.C. I love cities. My father was from South Carolina. My mother was from the Midwest. So I love cultural differences, and I was aware of them from a very, very early age. I was named for my two grandmothers, who were both wonderful cooks. I started cooking at the age of 7. My first effort was a total flop, but fortunately, I learned from my mistakes. So anyway, one of my passions is history. I was a history major in college. I was fortunate to go to the University of Lancaster in Lancaster, England for my junior year, during which time I developed a passion for travel, trying international foods, and seeing what other cultures do. So coming back to the United States, I graduated from Franklin Marshall College, where I met my husband in my senior year. We got married within 2 years. Shortly after we were married, we moved to Connecticut. We loved Connecticut. Both of our children, Christine and Chuck, were born in Norwalk, Connecticut. And so we lived there until about 1990. We moved to Chester County. I continued my banking career. I really didn't use my history degree, but I discovered that I liked working with money. So I have spent 30-some years in banking, and I retired in 2012 from banking. And I have spent the years post-retirement being a volunteer for different organizations. And currently, one of my other passions is libraries and the Kennett Library. And so since 2017, I have been on the board, 2016 actually, have been on the board of the Kennett Library and hoping to build a new library. So that is what's kept me interested for the past, since my retirement. So thank you for listening.
Well, thank you, Margaret, and for that member spotlight. Now I'd like to introduce our Sergeant of Arms for this week, Doherty Kohl.
Hello, Rotarians. Hope everyone is doing well and staying safe and sane. Welcome to week 4 of the quarantine. As you can see, I'm outside in our family because we're taking quarantine to a new level. And you may ask, oh my gosh, did I miss a federal mandate on the new level of quarantine No, you didn't. This is my family's level of the Kohl mandated mom is making us crazy kind of quarantine. Or as I like to call it, my kids are making me crazy and I pray to God that it's sunny for the next 4 weeks. But things are going well. As you can see, I'm doing some work around the house. I painted as far as I can. I have Eric Luna coming in to do the rest of my house this week. We won't be near each other. He'll do a great job. Got a bunch of mulch I have to do, so keep him busy to make my family not as crazy as they are already. So thanks for coming today this morning. Carrie Freeman has been a resident of Southern Chester County since 1979, and she's the CEO of the United Way of Southern Chester County and has been for 17 years. After graduating from college, she was hired by Unionville Middle School, which it was called at the time. She was hired by Mr. Patton himself, and while there, she received her MA in English from Westchester University. After 10 years at teaching in Unionville Chadsford School District, she transitioned to the nonprofit sector in 1993 and became the director of TikTok Early Learning Center, a nonprofit serving primarily low-income families. This job introduced Carrie to the hidden world of low-income families in Southern Chester County and into our many diverse cultural communities. After 10 years at TikTok and helping hundreds of children successfully enter public school, Carrie was ready for a new challenge and founded in 2003 when she took over as CEO of the United Way of Southern Chester County. She relishes the chance to mobilize the caring power of our great community and how to improve the lives of our neighbors. She has raised 2 wonderful boys as a single mother. Her son Scott is 33, is a Latin teacher, and her son Bradley, 30, is an accountant. So please join us in welcoming Carrie to Rotary this morning. And Dave Harridan, our behind-the-scenes producer, will be asking Carrie a few questions during the program.
Good morning, Rotarians. I have a lot to tell you about what's happening locally in Southern Chester County today. But I first want to explain to you what United Way of Southern Chester County does and why we are so uniquely positioned to help in a pandemic. So we take care of all the human needs from Chadds Ford down to the Maryland-Delaware lines. So that encompasses about 115,000 people. We have in Southern Chester County, we are small, but we are mighty. And we have wonderful nonprofits down here that are doing extraordinary work during this pandemic. Well, they do extraordinary work year round. We are blessed with a strong base of donors to United Way. And with that, every year we give out grants to these nonprofits to keep their programs running and healthy. We have a wonderful allocation process, and we utilize 50 to 70 community volunteers every year, some of them Rotarians, that we train, and they do the listening, they do the homework of reading the application grants for funding. They sit in on presentations from the agencies, ask really pertinent and deep dive questions, and then grants are made from that. So last year we were able to give out $800,000, and we are the chief funder for our area nonprofits. The top 5 agencies are getting over 100,000 from us in a year, which has a huge impact on a nonprofit budget to know that they can count on $100,000 from their United Way. What I love is working with these nonprofits. They are a wonderful, committed group of people, and whether we're funding them or not, we are in intimate discussions with them always. So I've been doing this for 17 years now. So I work with all these nonprofits. We all know each other. We all have each other's cell phone numbers. So it is wonderful when tragedy hits that I'm not at all scrambling to reach out to my nonprofits. And just to give you a sense, I am probably on the phone with my nonprofits on a weekly basis, if not more. And they are reporting numbers to me. So I do, we're raising funds which we do anyway to support them and sustain their programs. We're also raising funds for the COVID-19 response. And the important thing for me is to relate is that this is definitely going to be a marathon and not a sprint. I mean, I feel like we're in the Ironman triathlon right now. And frankly, we haven't even gotten to the end of the first bicycle leg of it. The people in our area affected by this coronavirus who have lost their jobs are going to need long-term help. And frankly, the government does what it can, but the response really is going to have to come from the community and the generosity. And again, we are blessed in Southern Chester County with very generous people, of which Rotarians are one of them. I know how much you all care for your community and support it. So my message is that we, as a United Way, because we have already these deeply established relationships with the nonprofits, we know intimately what they need and what they are doing. We are set up already with the ability, ACH, immediate transfers of money into their accounts. We are just uniquely positioned at this time to coordinate amongst all of our nonprofits on who's doing what and where there are gaps in service. We are uniquely positioned to assess, because they're being very frank with me, exactly what they're spending every week and what they need to have for ongoing support as the weeks and months drag on. And I'm also very interested in coordinating our nonprofits so they are working together. We are not duplicating services. We're all about efficiencies at United Way. We want to make sure everybody stays mission-centric and they're not, drifting into other lanes when that job is better done by another nonprofit. So I think that coordinating of the funding ongoing for this is just a unique role that we can play. So let's talk briefly about the needs. My biggest concern and interest is making sure that all of my Southern Chester Countyans have food and they have shelter. So that means if they are renting, that they are not going to get displaced and they can pay their rent, they can pay their utilities. If they are unable to get out to the grocery store, do we have agencies and volunteers who are delivering food to them, et cetera. So food and shelter. So the food situation. We have two major food cupboards in our area. Kennett Area Community Services, which we fondly call CACS. Awesome, awesome organization. Cannot say enough good things about them. On a non-coronavirus year, so on a normal year, last year, for example, CACS gave out food to 2,431 people. So you can see that is a major food cupboard serving our area. And that's on a non-crisis. That's just the normal year. They also have wonderful caseworkers who meet with people in financial distress and assess how they can help them. And they helped 1,280 people last year with cash assistance. So that would be assistance for their rent, prescriptions, utilities, that kind of thing. And again, they do a superb job. They're getting a full picture of the person's finances. They're making sure that double dipping is not occurring, where somebody's going one place for rent and going back to another place for rent. So it does take a lot of coordination to do that type of program in a regular situation. So what I've heard, and I just spoke to Leah Reynolds, who's the director at CACS last night, This past week, they saw an 85% increase of people coming in for cash assistance. They saw 138 families this past week for food. The shocking statistic there is that 75 of those were new. So that shows you right away what we're dealing with up in Kennett for supplying food and emergency assistance. Down in Oxford, our food cupboard there is Oxford Neighborhood Services Center. They, on a typical year, you'll see that they do about less than half of what Kennett does. But last year they gave food out to 1,096 people, and they gave cash assistance to 526 people. So they serve the needs down there in Oxford. Keep in mind that there is a limit to the amount of assistance that a family in past years, typical years, Oxford had a cap of $500 for the whole year. That cap is going to be blown out of the water, as we well know, during this coronavirus, because a one-time gift, no matter how wonderful it might be, is not gonna make a dent in people that have been displaced from their jobs and have no income. So we're expecting these agencies are going to change and be able to help people multiple times during the year instead of just a once a year help. And that is why it's so critical for fundraising. The hardest thing about our food cupboards is that they, of course, have to keep their own staff healthy. And it's been a struggle. They've been working split shifts. So if one shift goes down with somebody that gets infected, it doesn't wipe out the entire staff. And then because of this, they've also, both of them have had to stop welcoming volunteers in to work. So they've been working, slugging away for these last few weeks with just staff. And I want you to know they are both extremely sensitive and paying lots of attention to how can we run this operation without jeopardizing our own staff, because we got to stay up and running is their attitude properly. So CACS will be announcing this week a fantastic partnership with the local YMCA. The YMCA at the moment is shut down. Everybody's been furloughed, if that's the correct word, except the director. But the problem with CACS and with our Oxford food cupboard has been that they are small in facility size, which is a problem during a pandemic where everybody has to stay 6 feet apart. So the partnership between the Y and CACS is that that empty Y facility is going to open its doors to CACS to be able to take in donations of food from the public, which they have not been able to do up till now. Food is still, I want to emphasize, food is still needed. It's going to be needed for months. And that's the private donations. The CACS and Oxford gets weekly distributions from the Chester County Food Pantry, or Food Bank, excuse me, Chester County Food Bank. They're doing a great job over there. And they're getting food out, but it's not enough food as their sole source of supply. So both those local pantries are definitely asking you for support, and different companies to do food drives, and individuals to, when they're going out for their shopping, if they could pick up a bag of groceries to drop off for the food cupboard. So we finally have a large facility with this collaboration between the Kennett Y and CACs. This week, at some point when they're ready, they'll get the word out in a major push so people understand where they can go to drop off. It's being done superbly organized to not jeopardize anybody. So people will typically pull up. Their gift bag of food is in the trunk. A volunteer who is gloved and masked will come out, get it out of the trunk, take it to the, quote, dirty table where it will sit until the proper volunteer can come out, get it, weigh it, check it to make sure nothing's damaged or expired. And then they'll be doing sorting within the Y to get it into boxes, which will then be ready for distribution. Oh, they'll also sanitize. They're sanitizing all the donations also. So nobody getting a can from the food cupboard should worry that it hasn't been sanitized. It is going to be. Oxford is in the same situation. It's a very small food cupboard, way too intimate a space. What they have been doing is they have been taking donations by appointment only, which is really tough because people want to do their donation on their way home from the grocery store, because who wants to go out again, just to drop off food. So up till now, they've had to do it that way. They then take it in. It sits for a while so it can, if there's any virus on it, it's cleaned. And then they also are packing boxes to distribute out by appointment only. So it's a laborious process. So I am hoping very, very much, we are in discussion. I am hoping that the lighthouse will act down in the south as the Y is acting in the north. That's not set yet. There's a lot more discussion that needs to be worked out. But again, that's a huge facility with gyms and no kids are there right now. And I hope you can see by what I'm telling you, the wonderfulness of the intimacy of us down here in Southern Chester County. This is where it really, during a pandemic, is where it really comes to fruition to know everybody. Everybody is completely willing to work with everybody else for the good of the community. And it just makes everybody shine. I cannot tell you how proud I am of our nonprofits. They are essential. They are on the front lines and they are working all out under great risk to themselves to supply what is needed for our community. So couldn't be prouder of them. I can't say enough about them. So let me talk about coordination of funding, which is another concern of mine. So again, I am blessed that I am in contact and have trusted relationships with everyone. So it behooves us as a United Way to know who is distributing what funds to what agencies, and we can coordinate this so not two agencies are not getting all the funding. I need to be the clearinghouse and of knowledge of what is the Chester County COVID-19 Response Fund giving out in our area. And by the way, we gave out $60,000 from that response fund last week, and we're meeting weekly to assess agencies in Chester County. I sit on the grants committee there. Now, speaking of that COVID-19 response fund that is for countywide, I do want to do a shout out to Longwood Foundation, because they were the first major gift out of the gate of $100,000. And they, that funding has to be spent here in Southern Chester County. Longwood Foundation does not fund Chester County as a whole, but they have always funded within 4 miles of Longwood Gardens. So we've always had a wonderful relationship, my United Way, here with them. And I am so thankful for that huge gift, which was then used by the COVID fund to do matches. And they got money from other areas. That fund is now up to about $500,000, a little more than $500,000. Kris Salio, my counterpart up at the United Way of Chester County, is doing a great job doing fundraising from the big companies up there in the north. So I know his goal is to get $1 million, which again will be disseminated over time, week by week, as the needs are there. So I'm glad to be a part of that and knowledgeable about who's getting what from that fund. I also work with the Chester County Community Foundation, and their donors are making wonderful gifts down here. They've given funding to some of our key nonprofits, and I am aware of that amount. So that plays into where we'll be spending our funding that we get down here. So that coordination to me is key. Not that any of our nonprofits are going to do anything incorrect with the gifts that are coming in, obviously, but we have to be able to pace this supply of funding to them. And I've let especially my 2 food cupboards know, they're sending me their data on a weekly basis. And as soon as they have worked through the pot of money they got for 1 week, we'll be supplementing it as the weeks roll on. This is truly a marathon in funding. So we're in it for the long haul. I am also coordinating with our agencies. I get nervous when I hear, so-and-so's giving out rent money to their cadre of clients, and the next one is, because that's no way to handle the distribution of rent money. So we have to tightly coordinate, and we do, between our agencies. I can gather them all, the heads together, and say, this is what the role that this agency is playing. Make sure you're sending your clients to them for rent money. However, there has been awesome agencies are stepping up. And I'll give you an example. So the Garage, which works with the youth, fantastic job with our high school youth. Obviously, they're closed right now. They're doing stuff remotely with their kids, which is great. But what the role that they saw is that, they can't give out food, they can't give out rent money, nor should they. But the role that they saw was they could collect paper products, paper towels, toilet paper, cleaning supplies, because that is something that the food cupboard does not give out. And so they have done for the last few weeks a wonderful job addressing people, donating that product to them and them getting it out to their families. The next big challenge is we do have a lot of people who cannot get out. They are really quarantined for very good reasons in their home. They do not want to risk it. And all of our agencies are working on the plans to safely deliver the things that they need to their homes, boxes of food, etc. This is challenging to coordinate volunteers so everybody stays safe, but that coordination is happening. I'm going to give a shout out to Silo down in Oxford, which is a street ministry, so to speak, for the Oxford area. They work with the most needy people down there, about 200 homes, and they are coordinating with the Oxford Neighborhood Services Center to be delivering weekly food to those shut-ins. Another example of the excellent coordination in our area. So thank you for everything you can do as Rotarians to help us out. in this time, and we are strong as a community. Thank you.
Carrie, thank you very much for being with us today. What a marvelous presentation you've given us today. And just in summary, you know, I noticed that you said my nonprofits. You're kind of like this mother hen of caring for all the organizations here in Southern Chester County. How do you feel about that? Are you in fact the mother hen?
I am the mother hen. I do feel like that. We are all one big family down here in Southern Chester County, and nobody's a stranger, and it makes everything work.
So Carrie, how is your own staff holding up during this crisis?
So we are a small staff. I only have 3 other part-timers, and they are all working from home as best they can. We are not set up to work remotely because of our confidential information in the office. So I'm the only one who can access it remotely. So they're doing what they can. I've told them, don't worry about it. You're going to get your full paycheck, whether or not you're putting the hours in. And they're doing what they can from home.
So Carrie, you mentioned a lot the Kennett YMCA. What's happening down at the Jennersville YMCA?
They're playing their part in this pandemic. They are heroically playing their part. They have opened up a daycare center for the healthcare workers and the people that have to go into work, which I think is fantastic use of their facility, and thank them from the bottom of my heart for doing it.
Great, that's really great, Carrie. How can service organizations like Rotary and others in our community and around the area really help in this crisis through your efforts as well as the efforts of our nonprofits?
Really, there are 3 ways to help. Financially, your organization should still be giving however it can to the causes that need it the most, whether that is directly to an agency, in which case please coordinate and let me know the gift you've given, or you can do it through us if you're more comfortable with that, and we'll assess where it needs to go. The second thing you can do is help physically as you feel comfortably doing. I know that we are going to need people to volunteer to deliver food to people that are shut in. It has to be done safely, where you would pull your car up, box would be put in your trunk, you'd drive to the destination you were given, you'd put that box on their front porch, no human contact to do that sort of thing. And I will make sure that Rotary is informed of those needs, volunteer needs. It will not be a large group of you, obviously, it's working one-on-one. And then the third thing you can do is go to our website, which you'll see on your screen, and we have a page there for volunteer opportunities and links and information about donating food or giving blood, or even something as simple as writing a note card to somebody at Pecopson Home who would love to have some interaction. I'd like you to see a few videos from our area nonprofit directors about what's happening at their agencies right now during this crisis.
My name is Sipple, and I am the Interim Executive Director at Oxford Area Neighborhood Services Center. For those of you who don't know what we do, we exist to help members of our community break the cycle of poverty. Our staff members are here to help with case management, information and referral, food assistance, and basic needs assistance. And so many of us are experiencing hardship right now as a result of trying to navigate this ongoing health crisis. NSC is here to help. We are open Monday through Thursday by appointment only, and we can help with food assistance or basic needs assistance. If you find yourself in need of help, please give us a call for an appointment at 610-932-8557. That number is also at the bottom of this screen. If you find yourself in the position to help others right now, please consider making a secure online gift at www.oxfordnsc.org. That is also at the bottom of your screen. Anything you can do would really help right now. We are finding ourselves in the position of having to cancel our 2 major spring fundraisers, and that's really going to impact our ability to help others. Please stay safe, stay well, and thank you as always for everything you do to help our community.
Hi, this is Leah Reynolds from the Kennett Food Cupboard and Kennett Area Community Service. First of all, thank you to all of you who have reached out to us during this time. We do need your help, but let me explain to you what's going on now, okay? So the food cupboard is still operating. We are still distributing food, and we are still open Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays to help people in need. Our resource center is also open to help people with emergency assistance. That is by appointment only right now, due to the situation we are dealing with COVID-19. I want to thank everybody that's been so supportive and helpful. And here's what you can do now to help us. Let people know that might need our help, whether it's emergency assistance or in our food cupboard, that we can help them. So send them to us. The other thing that's very helpful right now is if you go online to our website, www.cacsonline.net, that's K-A-C-S online.net, and make a donation. We cannot accept any food donations right now. We have no volunteers helping us to sort food that might be donated. So we're working with the Chester County Food Bank and some other local partners in the community to make our operations streamlined with all the new conditions at play in our community to keep people safe. So we work really hard to change what we do so we can continue to provide services. And here's what I really want you to know. We will give until we have nothing left to give. So help us. Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Mariana Izraelson. I am the CEO of La Comunidad Hispana. Delighted to be here with you. We want to let you know what are we doing during this health crisis. La Comunidad Hispana will remain open to see our patients as much as possible. During this time in which the order to stay at home, La Comunidad Hispana transitioned to acute only for our pediatrics care and our primary care. Our dental care is here to see emergencies. Any members, children, adolescents, and adults that need help with any dental emergencies, please feel free to call us at 610-444-7550. Also, our Women's Health Programs continues to see our pregnant patients for prenatal care and any member with any kind of emergency. While the stay-at-home order is in order, our social assistance team is going to see members via the phone, and they're making appointments. You can call us at any point to talk about any problems that you have, including unemployment and workforce development. We also have our behavioral health team, and they are continuing to see patients as integrative care at any time that is needed. We are here to provide care. Once the stay-at-home order is lifted, primary care and pediatrics will go back to routine care for all patients, children, adolescents, and adults. We are going to continue to monitor the situation for dental care until further assistance and notice. We will continue to see emergencies only. For our social assistant team, once the stay-at-home order is returned, we are going to go back to walk-ins and seeing patients and walk-ins and appointments. We're delighted to be here for you. Feel free to call us if you have any questions or concerns, any concerns about the virus. Please call us 610-444-7550.
Well, thank you, Carrie, for a great presentation, and thank you for all your leadership regarding the relief efforts here in the Kennett Square area. Hey, I want to take you now to Happy Dollars. I'm sure those envelopes are getting nice and full sitting by your computer, and continue to send us video snippets of what you are happy about, and we'll get those here on the home edition view each week. Got great speakers coming up, including Paul Redman, from the director of Longwood Gardens, and many more that are lining up to want to be on this home edition video online meeting. And I want to bring you out now with the 4-way test. Number 1, is it the truth? Number 2, is it fair to all concerned? Number 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number 4, is it beneficial to all concerned? And here at Longwood Rotary, number 5, is it fun? See you next week.